All right, guys, we just challenged them to be brave, and they ate bugs, which was really gross. And some of you liked it, which is concerning.
That's worse.
And I think that's worse. Yeah, it's really gross. But they were bold. So what about you? When was a time that you had to be really bold? When's the time you were really brave?
All right, well,
And actually, to cut you off, I think if we just asked them to eat bugs, I think we probably should do it ourselves. We have some crickets, 6 grams of protein not per cricket. That'd be really intense. But Jake, why don't you go ahead and answer this question while eating some crickets? There we go. Let's get a couple in there. Whatever that is.
Gosh.
I poured in like half the bag.
I don't know.
All right, Jake, when's the time you had to be bold?
Can you see these? Look.
See those wings?
That one's moving.
Okay, right now is when I had to be bold. All right, here we go.
Oh, there's so many bugs.
That is a lot.
All right, so I one time went rappelling, and what's rappelling? Rappelling is when you go down a cliff holding a rope, and I wasn't taught how to do it very well, and so I like burned my whole hand. Like, it was bad. I had like degree burns, and it was like high. Oh, bugs are fine. Oh man,
Like them?
You did good.
What?
You did good.
Did you even eat them?
hey, they taste great, Leah.
Yeah, Leah, I'll just give you one. I'll be nice. I gave Jake a lot. There you go. Actually, I gave you 2. There you go. Hey, Leah, when's the time you had to be bold?
Okay, so a time that I was really bold was we went cliff jumping with our friends, and it was, I don't know, like 30, 40, maybe 100 feet high, but everyone was chickening out.
300 feet. 300 feet.
Everyone was
You heard it
chickening
here
out,
first.
so I was like, I'm just gonna go for it. So here we go. I just went for it, and it was awesome and amazing, and
Oh, she threw the last one away. Hey, I gotta join in with the group. That's the rest of the bag. Oh, name a time with your group that you had to be bold. Oh. hey, how courageous are you? Maybe you're a bit of a daredevil, kind of like this guy. Or maybe you're not, and you're a little bit more like this guy. Either way, I don't think courage is something that we're all just born with. I think courage is a choice. I think it's something that you and I face every day where we have to decide if we're gonna be courageous or not. Like for you, maybe choosing courage is trying out for that team and you don't know if you'll make it. That takes courage. Or maybe it's sending that DM and you don't know how that person's gonna respond. That takes courage too. Or it's asking that one girl to help you study math. Bro, you like her, we get it, just shoot your shot. It takes courage, you see? All of this takes courage. And I think courage is a choice. I don't think it's just this thing that we're born with. I think you and I face decisions every day, moments every day where we have to choose if we're gonna be courageous or not. And we've been in this series called Movement, where we've been following the steps the first followers of Jesus took to make Jesus famous in the world. And each week we've unpacked things that they did. We started off by looking at how they prayed and read the Bible together. And then we talked about how they formed together as a community and were vulnerable with one another. And then we focused in on how they took care of each other's needs through generosity. But I think something that's really easy for us to miss when we read about the first followers of Jesus is the thing that it took to take this movement from just being in the city of Jerusalem and spread it across the world. I think what it took is courage. And I think the Bible clearly shows that. And all I want to do today is just show you one story from the Bible that I think proves that to be a part of this movement back in the book of Acts, but also today, requires you and I to choose courage. So here's where our story kicks off. It's with two of Jesus's followers, guys named Peter and John. And Peter and John were two of Jesus's first followers. They lived in a city and at a time where there were a lot of people that really hated Jesus. The city officials and the police made it illegal for anyone to talk about Jesus. So for Peter and John to be a part of this movement took a lot of courage. So one day, walking down the street, and they run into a guy who has no ability to use his legs. The guy's never been able to walk in his life. So Peter and John heal this guy in the name of Jesus right on the spot. Dude stands up for the very first time. And as he's standing up, he's not just walking. This guy is so pumped to be moving around for the first time. He's doing backflips, cartwheels, double tuck, reverse, triple sow cows. Dude is pumped to be walking for the first time. So, as you can imagine, this gathers a big crowd and they form around. Thousands of people gather to see what's happened. So Peter and John use this opportunity to make Jesus famous. They're bold for Jesus right in this moment and tell all these thousands of people about what Jesus had done. And so this moment, they tell all these thousands of people, they're bold for Jesus. It's amazing. And then they're thrown in jail. I know. They spent all night in a cold, lonely, dark jail cell. And then they're taken in the middle of the night and they're threatened by the city officials and the police, and they're warned never to talk about Jesus ever again. Think about what it's like to be in their shoes. This must have been scary, right? When we look at the Bible, this is the first time we see something like this happen to Jesus's followers. This must have been really scary. So Peter and John, they head back home, and the whole church is waiting for them there. And they want to pray over them and ask Jesus what they should do next. Put yourself in their shoes, right? What would you pray for? I know what I'd be praying for. I'd pray to Jesus for safety, protection, a new place to live where people ain't trying to throw me in jail. You know, that basic kind of stuff. It's not what they prayed for. And I'm really thankful that they didn't. Because what they did pray for changed the movement forever, changed the trajectory for your and my lives here today. So when we look at the Bible and we see what they prayed, it's in Acts chapter 4, verses 29 through 30. Here's their prayer. Pay close attention. I don't want you to miss this. In Acts chapter 4, verse 29 through 30, it says, "Now Lord, consider their threats and enable your servants to speak your word with great boldness. Stretch out your hand to heal and perform signs and wonders through the name of your holy servant Jesus." Did you hear it? Do not miss this. What did they pray for? They could have prayed for anything. They didn't pray for safety. They didn't pray for a new place to live. They prayed for boldness. They chose courage. Why? Like I said, they could have prayed for anything because Peter and John, they understood something that we need to understand here today, that to be a part of this movement takes courage. And in this moment, they chose courage. So here's why this story matters. Here's why I'm even telling you this, is because fast forward now, cities, from city to city, from nation to nation, across borders and oceans, this movement spreads across the world and has reached you and I here today. This is our story. And because of this moment where they chose courage, you and I have the opportunity to be a part of this movement here today. Some of you though, as you hear this story, you go, hey John, thanks for the history lesson. That was great. But the problem is, I don't live in a place where I'm gonna get arrested for talking about Jesus or being bold for Jesus. So this really doesn't apply to me. Thanks though. And I get that. But man, I think when I look at this story, it points to you and I that we still have to choose courage if we're gonna be a part of this movement. Like, let's be real. You're not gonna get arrested more than likely for being bold for Jesus at your school, but it may cost you a friend or make things awkward with a friend. It may cost you a seat at a lunch table with a certain group of friends. It may cause you to feel like you're noticed and you're different when you prefer to fade into the background and be like everybody else. I get that. And I get that you may not be arrested or have these things happen to you if you are bold for Jesus. But man, I still think to be a part of this movement takes courage. Students, this movement's going forward. Jesus promised us that. He told us that the movement will go forward, but the speed that it happens depends on how courageous we are. How could you choose courage this week? What step could you take? And I'll challenge you to do the thing that Peter and John did in Acts 3, where they had the most opportunity with that crowd. I think you have the most opportunity at your school. How could you choose courage? Be bold for Jesus at your school this week. What could you do? What's something practical that you could do this week? Maybe for you, it's that once a week, instead of sitting with your normal group of friends, you choose to sit with someone that's always alone at your school, and you invite them into this community. Or maybe what you do is you save up your money like you have from your allowance or from any job you do, whatever, and you take that money and you save it for next summer to help a student from your school go to camp next summer who can't afford it. Or maybe, craziest idea, you bring a physical Bible to school. I know, nuts. And then what you do is you pick a time at school when you don't have anything going on, when you're near your friends, and you open it up, even crazier, and you read the Bible around your friends. And why you would even do this is because it would start a conversation with your friends, inviting them into God's word and how Jesus talks about life in the world that he made. Here's the point, students. If you're gonna be a part of this movement, it requires you and I to choose courage. And think about what could happen for your school, for your family, for this city. If you did one bold thing, if you were bold for Jesus this week and you picked one way to choose courage, what will you do? I want you to talk about it with your coaches today in your groups. What's one thing you can do? Because students, the choice is yours. And I hope this week you choose courage.